And so, welcome, everyone, in fighting for you. What are you doing to fight for yourself? We know about fighting for, your rights or other people's rights, but what about fighting for who you are, what you stand for, your own? Ooh, it started out early already. Your own identity. And for some of you, you may not like the word fighting for. Sometimes we need it. Because I've been one. I was like, yeah, I advocate, I stand for, but when I hear the word fight, whew, it's like, it still disturbs my nervous system. But I know that it's something that is needed. Because if you do not fight for you, fight for freedom, freedom in what? Freedom in time, freedom in being able to do not whatever you want to do, but freedom in doing the things that set you free, freedom in doing the things that allow you to be you. But y'all know what? The secret to fighting freedom, y'all ain't gonna like me for this. It's the work that you do within yourself, for yourself, through yourself. The work that you do within yourself. And I do want to say this. I want to preface it with this. It is, sometimes, I'm going to tell you what I've seen. Because sometimes you may think it's hard, you do nothing. But if you do nothing, you will diminish yourself. Because you are telling your spirit that you don't matter, that other people matter more than you. And then in our society, it has us thinking that. But for those of us who have a calling, even though we're servants of others, but I'm telling you, everybody always come to the same conclusion. Oh, I had to sit back. I had to come back to myself. Oh, I lost myself. Oh, on the verge of burnout. So why not even start there? Because again, even by you nurturing yourself, it doesn't mean that chaos is not going to matter. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be tested. But at least, because again, when you think about a fighter, you think about a warrior, at least to have the tools, the mental tools, the spiritual tools, to help protect your soul. Ooh. And y'all, a lot of it is so simple. It really is. And I be laughing at myself sometimes. Like, when it comes to getting on camera, I don't have a problem with that because I trained myself years ago because I know that this is something that I wanted to do. Now, when it comes to the reels, I'm getting better, but it takes some training. And so when it comes to you fighting for yourself, again, you're fighting for a time to be who you are. So some of that may be, you hear me talk about the Take 5 to Thrive wellness boosters to be able to do some of those things that are nurturing, feeding, and fueling you. Because if you don't, you will leave yourself behind. Have you ever seen where you've been giving people advice and this and that, and they done scaled and they're living in that? And you're like, wait a minute, where am I? That's because you were giving it all away. You weren't giving it to yourself. Because if you do not pour into yourself, you have a empty shell. Ooh. But you're like, I remember I was listening to Eric Thomas. Ooh, this is a good one. And if I find, I believe it was in one of his sermons. I can't remember if it was a clip or one of his sermons, but even if it was a clip, it was a clip that came from one of his sermons. And I would say this: if you all are not listening to Secrets to Success, y'all need to listen to it. And listen to it. They give you really good gems about what's going on in the inside of you and how to think and the characteristics. But anyway, with Eric is such a giver. And for him to have this growth, you're like, wow. But anyway, he was talking about how he went to the Lord and he was asking the Lord of something. And the Lord, God was like, but I gave it to you. And he was talking about, I like to use water, whether you're talking about, the Lord was like, hey, I gave you some oil, but he kept giving his oil away. And so like for me, I say water. So I'm going to use water, okay? Say, hey, I gave you some water, but you keep giving it away. You keep giving it away. And so again, you can be of service, but if you're not digging your own well, that's what I like to call it. Are you digging a ditch or are you digging a well? But anyway, with Eric, he was like, but Lord, but God. He was like, I keep giving you the oil, but you keep giving away. And see, sometimes you end up giving away to people who will not do the same for you, even just a little bit. That's another conversation. We're not talking about that now. But sometimes it really does need to be reciprocal. And I'm going to say, especially if someone frequently gets your resources. But the main message in that particular sermon is that you can't be giving away everything. Yes, our gifts is for others, but our gifts are for us. Ooh, so are you feeding yourself what God has even given you? And this is how you're fighting for yourself. So fighting for yourself is also putting yourself in rooms, in places that can remind you to fight for yourself, that can remind you to take that time, that can remind you to do the things that you need to do so that you can be connected with your calling, but so that you can be filled. Because sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, it feels so good to be able to give to others. But we also want you to feel so good when you're in the dark. Ooh, that might have hit a nerve with somebody. And then for some of you, I'm going to say this too. Everyone is at different stages and levels when it comes to their calling, when it comes to entrepreneurship. And what I've seen, and even what I've experienced myself, you can have the desire. You can have the desire to have a calling, to be of service, to whatever it is that you experience, to have the message. But it's the work. It's the ecosystem. It's the infrastructure. It's the, again, creating reels and marketing and branding and doing those things that make it necessary. Again, putting in the work. So there's different levels of putting in the work. Maybe I should have named it that more so than fighting for you. But are you willing to put in the work to fight for you? To pour into yourself? Because sometimes, y'all, you've been doing too much or either doing nothing at all. But pace yourself. break those, break things down. You like, okay, I can't go to the gym Okay, do it at home or at work. Do something. Pour into yourself. And again, put yourself in rooms where you can hear people talk about, where it's normal to pour into yourself, where it's normal to sit in silence, where it's normal to have affirmations, where it's normal to talk about your future self, where it's normal for you to have a new identity, where it's normal for you to do the things that need to be done so that your message can get out. And so, with that, what is it that you're doing so you can have a fighting chance? Because some of you are in the wilderness and then you want to go back. You want to go back home. You give up. It's like, oh, this is too much. But this is what it takes. And so with that, this is the very reason that I created Fortitude and Free Circle. With Fortitude and Free Circles is for entrepreneurs and executives so that you can build discipline, because half of the time we have no discipline. And I know that's something that I'm still working on. Or should I say, we have disciplines not in the things that's going to help feed you. Ooh, and that's feeding you in different ways so that you can be fed, meaning having a roof over your head, the basic necessities, but also your soul and who you are. So you can still be you, so that your calling won't be draining you. That's the other thing. So that's doing the things that need to be done on a regular basis and being consistent in that. Being consistent in sitting in silence, being consistent in reading material that's going to fill your cup, whatever that may be. And to embrace challenges. Because when it comes to challenges, y'all, I used to be allergic to challenges. As, oh no, this seems, especially when it comes to other people. And I've always had the mindset, there has to be an easier way. There's no way that this has to be, that difficult. But sometimes we need that difficulty. Yes, there may be an easy way out, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then sometimes for some of y'all, even with the easy way or the simpler way of doing things, sometimes you're still not doing some of those things. But to embrace challenges and to have a different perspective of them. And the other thing that we do is to help you to sustain resilience. To be able to, overcome the challenges, the difficulties, the adversity, so you can get onto the other side. But y'all, even when it comes to resilience, it's not the resilience isn't the destination per se. It's the destination in this moment. But then there's, with certain, especially with the calling, there's different stages and levels to it. So it's almost like a maze or a video game. It's like you can't get to, let's say, I used to play videos when I was young. This is like back in the Atari days. But you can't get to the next level until you get to this level. And then you go to another level. And that is, and I'm going to say this, if you can understand this, understand that, understand this, then you're going to be okay. Because sometimes there are certain characteristics about yourself that you you may need in order to go to the next stage, the next chapter, the next level. Because without that certain characteristic, you may not be able to stand up for yourself. You may not be able to negotiate. You may not be able to speak up. You may not even have the courage to go into the room to tell people what you do. So through this maze of entrepreneurship, through the spiritual journey that we're taking, that is part of the fight. Do not lay down your sword, not unless you're rejuvenating yourself, you're resetting yourself, but allow it to be strategic of when you're doing it and not because it's hard or you're giving up. And so with Fortitude Free Circle, we give you those nudges, we give you those reminders to do the hard thing and rest and recover. To do the difficult thing and to stand up and to face the challenges and to help prepare you mentally and even spiritually and physically too for the obstacles, the blocks that's going to come up. That sometimes those detours are part of the process. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be frustrated. Don't stay there. And so with Fortitude Free Circle, it pretty much serves as a place where you can kind of like lay your head and you can nurture yourself, but also you're ready for the internal battles that you may have to face. And again, y'all, it's almost like when it comes to the original Karate Kid, when Miyagi had Daniel, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. Because you're like, what does planning have to do with this? Because you got too much, mental things inside your mind. You need to be able to organize it and see. And it gives you space to have clarity, to have the energy, to even have the audacity. But if not, then you're wondering why you're stuck. So, for any of you, if this resonated with you, come inside the circle. And that's Fortitude Free Circle. Again, this is where you build discipline, embrace challenges, and sustain resilience. And y'all, we can't do this by ourselves. Community is the way. And with the growing community within Fortitude Free Circle, you'll get that. So it depends on where you are. Click the link or scan the barcode or comment circle so that you can find out more. Because there's no need for you to fight for even internal justice, even though that's something that you would need to do on your own. But it's good to be around other people because it really does help, because you never know what gems or inspiration or motivation that you may get to keep going, because your calling matters. Someone is waiting to hear from you. That's just like this message is for someone, and that someone is you.